Welcome back, everyone, to another explainer. I am so pumped to have you here today because, well, we're looking at something that perfectly captures why history is just endlessly fascinating. Sometimes the most mind-blowing insights come from the absolute weirdest places. Today, we're not talking about a massive war or some groundbreaking scientific discovery. Nope. Instead, we're investigating a bizarre historical mystery. We're looking at an actual, real-life piece of United States legislation that honestly sounds like it was written by a stand-up comedian. We're going to figure out exactly how a totally innocent, delicious dessert ended up creating a massive legal headache for an entire era. So buckle up because we're diving headfirst into the great ice cream mystery.
So here's the big question. Is keeping ice cream in your pocket actually illegal? I mean, really picture this for a second. Imagine you're strolling out of a dessert shop on a sweltering hot day. You've got this beautiful double scoop vanilla cone, and instead of taking a bite, you just shove it straight into the back pocket of your jeans. Okay, besides the fact that that's a sensory nightmare and you just ruined a perfectly good pair of pants, could doing that actually land you behind bars? Like, could a cop literally tap you on the shoulder and arrest you for pocketing dairy? It's a completely ridiculous visual, right? You'd think the answer is a flat-out no way. But if you lived in certain parts of America back in the day, the answer to that exact question was a legally binding 100% real yes.
Now, I know exactly what you're thinking right now. You're thinking, come on, this sounds like a total joke. It sounds exactly like one of those clickbait articles about crazy fake laws. But there is a massive but right here. I literally wouldn't be sharing this with you if it was just some made-up internet myth. We are going to peel this onion together. Because hiding right behind this absolutely absurd concept is a shocking, totally true story. It's a story all about human ingenuity, sneaky criminal tactics, and a very specific loophole that crooks exploited so brilliantly the government literally had no choice but to step in. Section 1. America's Weirdest Law? Peeling back the layers of a strange historical ban. Okay, to understand the why behind this incredibly strange ban, we really have to shift our modern perspective. We've got to strip away everything we know about cars, security cameras, and modern life and step into the shoes of an average citizen and an average criminal over a century ago. The year is 1900. Let's really anchor ourselves in that time. In the 1900s, America looked vastly different than it does today. No digital security, no GPS trackers, no car alarms. The absolute lifeblood of the country, the main engine for literally everything, transportation, commerce, daily life, was the horse. Having a good horse wasn't like having a pet. It was your car, your tractor, and your livelihood, all wrapped into one animal. They were incredibly valuable assets. And, as you can probably guess, whenever there's a super valuable, easily movable asset just sitting out in the open, people are going to try to steal it. Section 2. The 1900s Horse Thieves, a true crime story. Now, this kind of heist requires a completely different mindset than what we think of as theft today. Right now, if someone wants to steal a car, they might hack the electronic fob or smash a window. It's violent or it's highly technical. But stealing a huge, living, breathing creature in broad daylight, in small towns where everybody knows everybody and horses are just tied up in front of the general store, you can't exactly hotwire a horse. The thieves of the 1900s had to be incredibly clever. They needed to pull off the perfect stealth crime, stealing a horse right out in the open without grabbing a rope and without arousing even a tiny bit of suspicion. Because think about the actual mechanics of stealing a horse. If I walk up, untie your horse, grab the reins, and start dragging it down the street, anyone watching is going to immediately know I'm stealing it. The physical act of holding that rope, that's the undeniable proof of the crime. The thieves figured out that the rope was their biggest enemy. Touch the rope, get caught. They needed a way to lead the horse away while looking completely innocent. Section 3. The ice cream trick. A bizarre but highly effective method. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is where the absolute genius of the criminal mind really shines through. These thieves didn't invent some complex new lockpick. Nope. They weaponized dessert. They realized they could just use the horse's own natural instincts against it, creating a wild scenario where the horse essentially stole itself. So let's break this heist down step by step. Step 1. The thief buys a nice scoop of ice cream and just nonchalantly slips it right into their back pocket. Step 2. They take a totally casual stroll past a tied-up horse. Now, horses have an incredibly strong sense of smell, and they absolutely love sweet things. So the horse immediately catches that sweet, sweet scent of melting ice cream wafting from the thief's pocket. Step 3.
The horse, completely mesmerized by the smell, literally just untethers itself or pulls free and starts walking directly behind the thief. And the thief? They just keep casually walking down the street. There is no rope, no force, just a guy taking a stroll and a horse who decided to tag along. This setup brilliantly highlights the absolute core of the deception. Put yourself in the shoes of a police officer or a random bystander on the street. What do you actually see? On one hand, you just see a guy casually walking down the road. Sure, maybe his back pocket is looking a little bit sticky, but he's not doing anything aggressive or illegal. And on the other hand, you see a horse willingly following right behind him. Completely unforced, nobody pulling it, totally unbothered. If a cop actually stopped the thief had the ultimate, airtight, plausible deniability. They could literally just throw their hands up and go, "Officer, I swear I'm not stealing this horse. I'm just out for a nice walk and this crazy animal just keeps following me." Because there was absolutely no physical connection between the two of them, no rope to be seen, there was zero immediate proof of a theft. It was, quite frankly, a flawless trick. Section 4. The official ban. The law finally steps in to stop the trick. Now, of course, the authorities weren't totally clueless forever. Eventually, local officials caught on to this sweet little trick. They noticed a massive, sudden spike in missing horses and, quite frankly, a suspiciously high number of dudes walking out of town with melting dairy in their trousers. They quickly realized they had a massive legal loophole on their hands. You simply cannot arrest a man for stealing a horse if you can't actually prove he's the one leading it. So the authorities had to figure out a way to put an immediate dead stop to the trick itself. They had to criminalize the method because the crime itself was just way too hard to prove. So, faced with this total epidemic of stealthy horse thefts, their official literal solution was beautifully simple: keeping ice cream in your pocket is forbidden. Boom, that was it. That was the actual law. They didn't try to pass some super complex legislation about animal luring or being in close proximity to untethered livestock. No, they went straight for the root cause. By making the very act of putting ice cream in your pocket illegal, the police finally had the probable cause they desperately needed. If they saw you walking past the local stables with a melting cone stuffed in your Levi's, they didn't need to prove you were stealing a horse anymore. They could just arrest you right on the spot simply for having ice cream in the wrong place. So what does this all mean for us today? Well, it tells us that context is literally everything. Back then, in the 1900s, this was a highly logical, completely necessary anti-theft strategy. It was a perfectly targeted strike against a specific, devastating criminal tactic that was genuinely threatening people's livelihoods. But now, jump forward over 100 years later, horses are mostly a hobby for people rather than our main mode of transport, right? So the entire context has just completely vanished. All we are left with today is the raw text of the legislation itself, and without that context, a brilliant anti-crime measure is transformed into an extremely weird, totally laughable law. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Is this actually the weirdest law in the world, or does it really just seem weird because we completely forgot the context behind it? You know, history is just packed with these fascinating hidden layers, where today's ridiculous punchline was actually yesterday's crucial survival strategy. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this. Drop a comment below and definitely let me know if you've heard of any other historical laws that suddenly make perfect sense once you peel back the layers. Thank you so much for focusing in and exploring this mystery with me today. Keep asking those big questions, always look past the surface, and I'll see you on the next deep dive.